What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to a delayed player ratings video here on Anfield Agenda. I want to apologise that there was no match day content yesterday. My whole family has been in bed ill for the past few days, so today is the first day I've had the energy to come down and record a video. I'm going to go through and do what I always do. Give the players a score out of 10, the substitutes and the manager as well. Ask you guys to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and of course please do hit that subscribe button. I will be recording another video this evening talking about my thoughts on the game in general and of course the latest news surrounding the football club. But for now, let's get straight into the player rating. So for Alisson, look, he had one of those days yesterday, didn't he? That mistake with himself and Verge is not great to look back on, but he definitely has enough credit in the bank to allow him one or two mistakes. That being said, the performance levels across the board yesterday were substandard, not good enough, particularly for a team who want to go on and win the title. And Alisson was just not at the races yesterday. So with that in mind, I'm going to give Alisson a score of 5 out of 10. Moving on to Joe Gomez, who was probably one of the better players. Still didn't play to the levels we've seen from Joe, who's been brilliant covering for Andy Robertson since he's been out, and Costas as well, of course. He's probably one of the few players I thought that could take any semblance of positivity from the game, but still not too much because we were just flat all the way across the board, and there was only one team wanted to really win that game yesterday, and it wasn't us, unfortunately. So for Joe, I'm going to give Joe a score of 6 out of 10. Now, this is where the scores start to drop a little bit. Virgil van Dijk had, fair to say, a bit of a mare yesterday. Whatever way we set up, we weren't set up to deal with the system Arsenal played with that box midfield and Havertz playing in somewhat of a false nine. And their first goal was just a calamity. There was just so much space left in behind. Alisson got a little bit unlucky. He made the save, rebounded to Saka, who scored. But the second goal, look, firstly, full credit to Verge for fronting up, for owning his mistake. And that goes a long way with me anyway. I can't speak for everybody, but he knows he made a mistake. He had a couple of chances to clear that. Probably should have headed it without letting the ball bounce. Secondly, he definitely should have put the boot through it. But he did focus too much on winning the physical battle with Martinelli, which he lost in that challenge. But himself and Alisson just were at 6s and 7s. So for Verge, unfortunately, it's going to be probably one of the lower scores I'll ever give him. He gets a 4 out of 10. Ibrahima Kanade got sent off, and I don't really have any complaints about the sendings off, particularly the second yellow card. Again, we just looked sloppy, but to Ibrahima Kanade's defence, for somewhat of a defence, he was being asked to do a lot. And I'm still a little bit baffled as to why every time we play Arsenal, we don't just have Trent tucked back inside. So for me yesterday, I would have gone with Joe Gomez at right back and Andy Robertson at left back when Conor Bradley was obviously out. And let me say, first and foremost, our sincere condolences to Conor Bradley and his family on the passing of his father. It's an incredibly sad thing, and I'm glad to hear Jurgen say the club are giving him all the time he needs, which is proper order in this type of situation. So with that in mind, I felt like Ibrahim Kanadi was being asked to do a lot yesterday, and Martinelli was causing us a load of havoc down that side. So I do think he's gets a little bit more credit than Verge for yesterday's performance. So with that in mind, I'm going to give Ibu a score of 5 out of 10. Trent, shocking. I don't know what else to say. Just wasn't in the game at all. Didn't impact the game in a positive sense at all. Looked like the Trent from 18 months ago, where he was kind of just strolling around the pitch with no intensity, no guile, just nothing, just flat, and just looked like he was a passenger throughout the game, and that's just not good enough. Look, the whole team were flat, so I'm not pointing fingers at Trent here, but somebody in that team yesterday should have been grabbing by the scruff of their neck and getting something out of those players. I understand that we had injuries again. I understand that there was a lot of changes that Jurgen had to make, but ultimately that was a massive, massive game in our season, and you want your leaders like Trent, who's the club's vice captain, to step up, and he just didn't. He wasn't in the game at all. So for me, Trent gets a score of 4 out of 10. Moving on to Alexis McAllister, and if there's one player who I think can somewhat hold their head high after that game yesterday, it was Alexis McAllister. I thought he was the only one that really showed the fight, the guile, the work rate, and the eagerness to battle out there with that Arsenal midfield. I think Alexis, as I said, the only one who can hold his head high. I thought he was really, really good. I'm intrigued to see what Kloppo does now that Watoro's back, Japan being knocked out of the Asia Cup. Watoro's back training, so I'm intrigued to see if Klopp moves Alexis further forward for the game against Burnley. But I think, as I said, he's the one for me that I'm not too critical of from yesterday's performance. So he gets a score of 7 out of 10. And trust me, that's going to be a rarity in these player ratings. Curtis Jones, again, not really any positive impact in that game yesterday for me. We just lost battles all over the pitch. Arsenal just wanted it more, fought harder, were far more creative. Arteta just outwitted Klopp on the managerial front. And these are things I don't like to say, but I've got to be honest about what I've seen, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same. I was very, very disappointed at the lack of fighting spirit from our boys at that game yesterday. And even in Kloppo's press conference afterwards, I felt like he almost looked tired, really. And I don't get the griping about certain things. Look, I seen things that bugged me about the game as well. Arteta outside of his area for most of the game, but Klopp moaning about refereeing the decisions. Look, it doesn't change how poor we were. If they had have also had Gabriel sent off because we had Canade sent off, so be it. But we were still terrible, and that's my underlying concern after the game. So we got to put it right. It was a blip, and Curtis Jones has been much better this season than he has been in previous ones. But again, poor performance yesterday, giving him a score of 5 out of 10. Ryan Gravenberch. So we'd seen that Curtis Jones gave Diogo Jota the nickname the Ghost. Well, yesterday this man here was a ghost. Terrible. Just didn't like the selection of him in the team from Jurgen. I would have definitely thought Harvey Elliott was a far better fit after Dominic Szoboszlai was ruled out of the game. And as soon as I seen his name on the team sheet, I was concerned. So not great at all. Probably joint worst on the pitch for me. So I'm giving him a score of 4 out of 10. And it was close to a 3. I thought he was terrible. Lucho, again, a little bit of 5 from him. Great determination for our goal. Managed to get a little flick on it inside as well, and Gabriel steered it into his own goal. But that was probably it. That was the only real positive I have. And he showed that determination. I loved the celebration as well. You could see what it meant to him. I wish the rest of the team had some of that fighting spirit yesterday. So, not going to be too harsh on Lucho today. Give him a score of 6 out of 10. Mr. Cody Gakpo. I don't want to swear, but doggy poo-poo is what I'm going to say. Awful. And I know we were somewhat limited in the availability of players, but I would have preferred to just play Darwin, and if he missed the Burnley game, so be it. It was just, he was non-existent out there for me, Cody Gakpo, and he's going to have to pull his socks up, because if he wants to stay at this club and force his way into the team regularly, he's going to have to start adding more goals to his game. He's going to have to start looking like he belongs out there, because right now, for me, he's bottom of the pecking order of the 5 forwards we have at the football club. So I'm going to give him a score of 4 out of 10. Moving on to Diogo Jota. Look, he's been brilliant for us lately. Full credit to him. He scored some really important goals. But again, yesterday, he was another one that was just non-existent. Didn't like him on the right-hand side in the first half. Don't know why he wasn't through the centre. For me, the forward should have lined up like Diogo Jota in the centre, Gakpo on the left, and Diaz on the right. And again, Klopp started Diaz on the left and Jota on the right. And I don't understand it. Not when Mo's not there. So yeah, I'm not impressed with Diogo Jota yesterday either, but how could I be? We were so poor that outside of Alexis, as I said, nobody really done well. So going to give Diogo a score of 5 out of 10. Now we move on to the bench, and Andy Robertson. Look, I was a little bit disappointed with him, to be honest, and I seen a couple of people mention in comments that he had the opportunity to run into space a few times where there was a crossfield ball or two played to him. And normally you would expect Andy Robertson to get on his bike and have a gallop down the left-hand side and attack the space. He didn't do it again yesterday, and I don't know why that is. I can't imagine it's anything to do with his shoulder, to be honest with you, because it would have been a sprinting motion. So, I'm just underwhelmed and disappointed. And look, I do fully appreciate that it will take Andy Robertson time to get back up to speed. I have no issues with that. He was out for a very long time and he's given us years of great service. So I've a little bit more sympathy for him, so I'm going to give Andy Robertson a score of 5 out of 10. Harvey Elliott, for me, should have started as soon as Dominic Szoboszlai was ruled out of the game. I thought he did okay when he came on, but these making substitutions in bunches of 3s and 4s that Klopp has done recently is somewhat stagnated. Now, we didn't really have anything to stagnate yesterday because there was no performance there, and maybe he was hoping that when Harvey Elliott came on with the boys that they would turn it round, but it just felt too passive all over, and I would have started with Elliott. That's probably the biggest compliment I can give to him. So I'm going to give him a score of 6 out of 10 for his role from the bench. Darwin Núñez. The only thing I can really say about Darwin Núñez is he kept trying. That one opportunity he had soon after he came on where he tried to bury it from the near post, he should have squared that across. That was not an opportunity to try and rifle one in. And I felt like he should have started. Of course, Klopp and the medical team probably say he shouldn't have started, but as I said, I would have rather get 60 out of him yesterday and let him miss the Burnley game than send him off the bench when, let's be honest, we needed a miracle at that point. So not going to be too harsh in Darwin. Going to give him a score of 5 out of 10. Now you might think that is harsh, but the way I was feeling after that game, if I'd recorded these player ratings yesterday, I feel like there would have been at least a point less for everyone. And last but not least, our manager, Jurgen Klopp. I felt like he lost the tactical battle yesterday to Mikel Arteta all over the park, and I felt like he didn't react quick enough to Mikel Arteta's system, and I'm still baffled, truly baffled, how every time we play Arsenal, we don't have a right back that just sits in the space, because Arsenal have a player in Martinelli who exploits that space, and even when Trossard came on, he managed to exploit the space down that right-hand side. Now, at that point, I think Gomez was across there, but it was just naive, and that's the best I can say for Jurgen yesterday, because it was very clear what Arsenal were going to do, and we just don't have a right back in there who's going to sit in the space and defend. So yeah, disappointed with Jurgen and that, because we knew it was going to happen. It happens every time we play Arsenal. So I'm going to give Jurgen a score of 6 out of 10. Now it's over to you guys. I've had my say. We want to know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. And again, apologies for yesterday having no match day content, but I hope to be back doing a live stream soon. Talk to you then, friends. Bye bye.